Should you use a loan officer that you find on the internet, or should you use a loan officer that maybe your local real estate agent referred you to? Depends. There's pros and cons with both. Being a local guy, of course, I think that using somebody in the local market is more important. But here's what happens. If I have to get my business from you off of the internet, it's harder for me to build a relationship with you or to build a relationship with your real estate agent. So the number one way that I have to compete is to give you closing cost and interest rates where you think that they're so much better than what the local guy's offering. And the fact of the matter is that's not always the case. There are some people that operate on the internet that work really, really cheap because they'll do a lot more volume, and that's the way they have to make their living. And that's fine, and you may want to work with somebody like that. It's just a little more difficult to get them on the phone or to get answers from people when they have way too many loans to do, because that's the only way they can make a profit. If you're dealing with somebody locally, the advantage is that you call me on the phone and you can't get me on the phone, you can come down to my office. Somebody in my office will find your loan and talk to you about it. Even if I'm not here, if I'm out of the country, you still know where your loan is, and you know that you have somebody locally that can do that. Typically, one of the things you want to think about is your real estate agent is a pretty good source for you on referrals for your mortgage people. And one of the reasons why is they've had experience dealing with different loan officers in the market. They know which loan officers that they like to work with because they get the job done for them. So I would definitely listen to my real estate agent, and I would at least talk to the person that she's trying to refer you to. And there's probably a reason why she's trying to do that. If you want to do a comparison, one of the things that you've got to learn to do on the internet is you've got to get the person, once they give you the rate and the closing costs that you see on the internet, you've got to get them to send you a good faith estimate that really outlines all of the costs. And what we find a lot of times is we have fees, and the fees are what we call our fees, and then there are other people's fees, and then there are state fees. So what happens a lot of times on the internet, people will say, here are our fees. Our fees are only $1,000. But what they're not telling you is about all the other fees. And you'll find mostly the guys that are local will give you a lump sum of all the fees. So before you can really compare the true closing costs and the true interest rate, it's important to get a good faith estimate from both parties. That way you have a listing of all the fees. If their fee is not listed, tell them to put that fee on there, because they'll say, oh, it's you get your attorney whatever he charges, or oh, you order the appraisal and use and whatever he does. But typically your local guy, he will have those fees listed out because he's doing business with those service providers and he knows exactly pretty much what they're going to charge. So that's an issue. And also on the internet, if you've got somebody that's in a different place and you can't get them on the phone, what's your recourse? How are you going to get? I mean, you're going to get Mr. E-Loan on the phone to talk to you about your loan? I don't know. So maybe you can, but I think it's probably a lot more difficult than if you come into a local mortgage company and you can speak with the guy that owns it, or you can speak with your loan officer, or your real estate agent can go by and say, hey, what's going on with our loan? We want to get this thing closed. You know, do we need any information, stuff. So that's the main thing that we find, is that people just see an advertisement like it's $2.99 when it's really $3. They're enticing you to do business with them, but you're not always getting the best rate and closing costs. I find that probably 9 times out of 10 when I get all of the fees from the internet lender and comparing to my fees, I'm typically saving my customer a lot of money. So it's hard to explain, so hopefully I've done that a little bit. You've got to get all of their fees. It's very important.